Jasmine and I'm an illustrator, and welcome to week 3 of NaNoWriMo. I am starting the week on a Tuesday, which is much better than last vlog. As you might know, I started that on a Thursday. Today I have to go into the office for my day job, but I am here early, so I figured I would start this vlog and pretty much start writing. There is a Starbucks nearby, but it's not one of those where you sit down and enjoy your drinks. It's pretty much just a to-go kind of a spot. So we're gonna jump into that and be one of those weirdos that write in the car. I think for this morning, I'm going to work on my romance fantasy story. I'm in a scene where the main character, Mirabelle, is in a nightclub. So I'm trying to figure out what information to put in and in what order. Should she go dancing first and then have those memories, or should she have those memories which trigger certain feelings that end up making her go dancing? Which I think makes more sense. So I guess I just answered my own question. But that's pretty much what I've been trying to figure out with this nightclub scene. And I've been writing this nightclub scene for like a week and a half. I do need to get it done so we can keep moving forward in the story. Alright, so I wrote 403 words, and that was 30 minutes. Not bad. We're still in the club. I don't think I'm gonna finish this scene until probably next week, because there's just a lot going on in this club scene. Because we're still at sort of the beginning of the story, I have to set up a bunch of new characters at this nightclub, as well as world build. I'm introducing vampires, so I'm very wary of any kind of exposition. Anyways, I'll probably write during my lunch break, but I'll see you in the evening. It's now 5:30 in the evening, and Jonathan needed me to stop at the grocery store before getting home, so we have to make a pit stop. But before we go into the next writing session, I wanted to just share that I had a little bit of an epiphany with Girl Night, because after last week's vlog where I was talking about how I don't know when I'm gonna go back to writing Girl Night because I'm kind of stuck in the story. Something's missing. Things are missing, and I'm just not able to problem solve clearly on what needs to be done to move the writing along. Randomly, as I was working today, I was wondering about this problem. I was listening to Brandon Sanderson. I can never say his name properly. Brandon Sanderson. It was like tips on writing your first novel. I'll put the video in the description. But I was listening to it while I was doing some data entry, and he mentioned how it would be very helpful if you were to write like 5 pages of your character talking about their life and explaining where they come from, what things they like to do, just to sort of explore more about your character's personality, and that information you can put it into your novel if it's necessary. It's just a good exercise for you to figure out who your character is, and that made me realize that I really don't know my main character that much, Alice. Because I'm first and foremost a visual person. I'm an illustrator. So a lot of the times I think of scenes in a visual manner first before a sensory or feeling way. And that is great when you are showcasing a scene visually, but in script form, this whole time that I've been writing Girl Night, maybe I'm missing the other components, and that's what's stopping me from really telling the story better, or at least trying to flesh out what kind of story I'm trying to tell. Because I have these images, and they're great, they're cool images, but how do you connect those images into a cohesive story? And not just a cohesive story, but an emotional one, and one that makes sense in the historical period. So there's a lot of components happening in Girl Night, and I think one of my biggest struggles is grappling with all of those components together. And half the time I can't quite make sense of that mess in my head, but I still gravitate towards those images. So it's both great to have these images lead the story forward for me, but I think it's all because I'm not necessarily fleshing out the story, or at least fleshing out the parts that need to be fleshed out for it to be the thing that I want it to be. So I haven't figured out Alice's personality very well, or her backstory. I haven't figured out her relationship with all of the side characters. That was another realization that I had, I think it was even yesterday. Like, these are all pretty fresh realizations that partly why I'm avoiding writing a lot of these scenes is because she's interacting with some of the side characters and I don't actually know what that interaction would be like. Even as I'm sitting there trying to write the scene, I'm like, would they joke together? Does one of them resent the other? Like, I really don't know. And that's not good. That's really not good. So I've frozen on the story because of that. So listening to what he suggested, I think I might do that sometime this week. Just do like a little workshop on Alice's character. I'm not a big workshop person because I'm a person of results. I like to do things where it applies directly to the results. But in this case, I really do need to do the extra work that isn't flashy or will be included in the final draft or anything. I really do need to do the extra work to try to really power through on these obstacles that I have with Girl Night. So it needs to happen. I feel actually pretty good. I feel like there's a path again for me to try to progress on Girl Night. I'm not giving up on it. I never will give up on Girl Night. I do think it's a good story. I just need to keep working at it and keep thinking about it. Because as soon as I stop thinking about it, then perhaps it will be dead. So I'll just keep thinking about it, keep trying to chip away at it. Yeah, I wanted to share that before buying some lemons. It's 10 o'clock now, so we're pretty much winding down to go to sleep. How did I do today? I wrote about 1,100 words, which is great because my daily word count goal is 1,000. I just barely beat it, and I'm okay with that. I'm not really a fast drafter, especially with my fantasy romance story. I take my time when I write these sentences. I've tried fast drafting. With this story, the words are there, so I might as well just write them. Where are we on the story? Still in the nightclub, but we're pretty much at the point where things are about to change. I kind of want to read, and I know I shouldn't read because, one, when I read something, it's really hard to put it down, so I'll stay up until like 4 a.m. finishing the book. And also, it's NaNoWriMo. This is like not the month to be reading anything. It's the month to be writing. So it's very tempting to reach for my Kindle and just devour another book. Girl Night is still over here. It's like over here in my mind. It's in the background all the time. I'm like thinking about it, rummaging through what I need to do to get out of this slump. I have a few ideas with Girl Night of what I can do, and a few ideas of what Alice's backstory is, because I still struggle trying to figure out what her backstory is. Is she a peasant? Or is she one of those rich peasants where the sons are being knighted, so they're starting to become landowners? You know, one of those like transitionary peasants, or a low noble family who lose everything including their land because of something that she did. If that is the case, it does come from nobility, how would that affect how she interacts with people, how she views the world, all of that? I mean, in my head I really was thinking that she was like a well-to-do peasant family. It's not exciting enough. It doesn't raise the stakes in the story. It doesn't create enough tension. Also, unrelated to actual story writing, what does a family in the low nobility look like? Did they all live in castles? Obviously not. Like, I don't think so. I don't think there's enough castles to house them all. So the ones who didn't live in castles, what did they live in? What buildings did those look like? I'm having a hard time trying to envision what Alice's family could have lived in if they were from a well-to-do family. So if you have any idea, let me know. There's just not a lot of information about things that don't involve castles in medieval times. From everything I've read, there's a ton of range of experience for a peasant, so not all of them lived in huts or cottages. What did the wealthy peasants live in? I want to see that. Maybe that might help me envision a backstory for Alice, which would give me clues as to what happened that made her disgraced. I'll see you tomorrow. Tell me if this makes sense. Well, it's 5:30. I am off of work and I don't really have anything to report other than we will continue this NaNoWriMo week 3 as planned. This morning I was working on my romance fantasy story and I kind of want to continue to write it, so we'll keep doing that, although mentally I know I need to get back on Spacewarriors because Spacewarriors is the actual thing that really does need to get completed, so I really should be working on that, and maybe I will tonight, because as I was working day job, I was itching drawing something of Spacewarriors. Jonathan is gonna make some tortillas so he can make us quesadillas, and I think I'm gonna play around with Procreate and do a Spacewarriors illustration for once in like forever. Cardigan. My mom gave it to me as an early Christmas gift. It is literally like wearing a blanket. I'm making tea. I organized my closet. I did laundry. I hung out with Jonathan. I am doing everything to avoid sitting down and write. And I think it's because I was getting a little bit of imposter syndrome today. Logging off and then like trying to write, it just felt icky. I didn't feel very motivated to write, knowing or thinking that I knew that what's the point if it's garbage? Why invest your precious time on things that aren't very good? Which I know are very silly feelings to have. I don't really take them too seriously, but they're there, and I'm just sharing to you that they exist. They just are. I did enough of dilly-dallying around the apartment to the point of, alright, I'm gonna try to see how many words I can put down for Spacewarriors. not write. That was a perfect example of how much I did not want to write, but I forced myself to just sit, listen to music, and try to get those words down. You just have to keep pushing through. This scene in Spacewarriors, I'm having that challenge again of trying to figure out the order of how I'm presenting information, and not just information. This scene contains a big revelation, so I want to make sure that I present the reveal in a logical way and also make it suspenseful, make it emotional, and all that good stuff. I wrote 500 words in Spacewarriors, and earlier today 500 words in the romance fantasy story. So that's 1,000 words. That's my daily word count. So I think I did just fine on my book for today. That's all I wanted to mention for tonight. So good night. Good morning. It's Thursday morning and we're gonna work on my romance fantasy story. I wonder if we're going to finish that nightclub scene today. I wonder. It is 6 o'clock and I really don't feel like writing right now. I do feel like doodling. So I found a anatomy challenge that I might want to participate, so I'm just gonna give it a try right now and do a couple of drawings. I do think that this challenge will be very helpful for me to get back to drawing more regularly. So I'm gonna draw for like half an hour, get that out of my system, and then we'll get back to writing. I got that out of my system. It's 7 o'clock. What better time to start writing again? But no. I don't actually feel like writing, but I did say that I wanted to finish that nightclub scene, so I'm gonna try to work on that. And I have a feeling it's gonna be an early night tonight, but we're gonna power through that. Good morning! It's Saturday and we have the day free, so I'm gonna do something that I haven't done in literally years, and that is to work in a cafe. Before the pandemic, Jonathan and I had a Saturday morning routine where I would go to a cafe and he would go to flea markets. But then that happened. I've honestly gotten sick and tired of writing at home and I'm itching to change the setting, so we're gonna try the cafe I used to go to a lot and see how that goes. I'm really excited to just get out. talk at the cafe, but I did want to mention that I didn't vlog yesterday because it was just a normal work day, and then in the evening I mostly hung out with Jonathan. There really wasn't much to vlog, but I did want to say that yesterday while I was driving and listening to medieval music, I was thinking more of the issues that I've been having with Girl Night and trying to figure out how to tackle them. And I mentioned earlier that one of the things that might help is to get to know these characters, get to know more of their backstory, their motivations, and I think I just haven't put that much effort in fleshing all of them out. So yesterday before work and during my lunch break, I handwrote some of those character notes. At least for just the main characters. Trying to describe where they come from, why are they doing the things that they're doing in the story of Girl Night, and at the end of the story, what has changed in their life. I hadn't figured all of that out while I've been formulating the outline. It's been more of an instinctive thing. So to sit down and write it by hand, because by hand means that it's casual and there's no pressure to just write whatever comes out of my head. If I type it, for some reason I feel like typing it is making it much more official, and we're deviating from that Play-Doh phase where ideas are just ideas, they're not commitments. So by writing it by hand, I do feel more free to just play around with ideas. And so that's what pretty much happened on Friday. Not really anything I could vlog, it's just idea stuff. And it's certainly not NaNoWriMo things because those thoughts aren't words. I couldn't even update the website. But as for today at the cafe, I did more physical writing for one of the side characters, then actually plunged into Girl Night where I left off, which was where the court dancer is visiting the castle and teaching the knights how to dance the latest court dances. Doing the handwriting character descriptions was actually really helpful. I feel pretty good. I also mentioned earlier about Alice's social standing, like where does she come from? Truly, I wanted her to be somewhere in the middle because I do want her to be part of that world, but also separate from it, if that makes sense. I did actually solidify her background better. The only thing I need to do is to connect it to actual historical figures. So I'm not sure if I should connect her dad with the Duke of Orleans. I'm not saying her dad would be the Duke. I'm saying he is related to working with the Duke of Orleans. But I don't think it's gonna be the Duke of Orleans. I was thinking more like the Duke of Anjou, but I have to do all this research still, so that part needs to be figured out. But I don't actually think it's super important. It's just a matter of getting names down. I could probably still keep writing the story with like a blank on who her father served, so it's not super important, but it is progress, and I do feel a lot better about working on Girl Night. I genuinely feel much relief. Will I encounter another issue again? Probably, and you will be the first to find out. Now that it's Saturday afternoon, I'm gonna edit this vlog, and later on Jonathan's gonna take me out on a date apparently. So I'm gonna conclude it here. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next week. Bye!